There we go. The next topic that we talked about was people don't resist change, they resist being changed. I don't mind change if I'm invited to have a little bit of say in the change. We've got to be able to change every day. Life is flying by, nothing is staying the same. Technology changes. I am not the real techie person. You can probably tell that by some of this, but I don't mind learning about it if I'm taught appropriately and in my learning style. But we get comfortable. And I don't know about you, but I like to be comfortable, but I also don't want to do the same thing day after day after day. I have a friend, I used to work at a place called Syncom here in Mitchell, and I worked in the office. When I took the position, I came into a position where the individual who I was replacing had passed away suddenly. They'd had a heart attack, passed away, they were very young, and so you walk into that, and not that people weren't welcoming, but no matter what I did, well, that's not the way so-and-so did it. And you try to be very empathetic and in some ways sympathetic in the fact that I understand that so-and-so didn't do it that way. Please help me to do it in the manner that's appropriate for the business. So it took a little bit of time for them to accept the change of what I was doing and sometimes the ways I did things. But I also had an individual, a girlfriend of mine that worked there. She worked back in the production area. And okay, this is back when floppy disks really were floppy and we really did have the tape reels, and yeah, it's a long time ago. But her job every day was to come in and put the holes in the center of the floppy disk. And literally, she pulled the handle down for 8 hours a day. She had quotas to meet, but she didn't want you to ever come in and change her job. That's just the way it was. She liked that comfort zone. She liked meeting her quota. Sometimes she'd play a little bit of game with herself, you know, to see if she could beat it or do whatever, but she didn't want anybody to rock that boat. I, on the other hand, I like not knowing what student's going to walk through my office door, what the issue is going to be. I like the fact that I get a different book for all my classes every semester. 2 reasons. Number 1, it keeps me fresh and a better teacher. Number 2, I am now, because of the way we're testing, usually I'm doing comprehensive finals, so I give all the tests back so people can go back and study and try to, you know, get a gloriously great grade on their final exam. But I change, and I have students that go, God, I wish you wouldn't do that. I wish you'd just use the same book, then I could sell it or whatever. But the point is, there's new information out there. So I like the unknown. I like to change. I have a direct sales business that I'm a part of with the Thrive/Lavelle. They're constantly changing and bringing out new phenomenal products. I am in the process of starting a new business called Management Basics, which I don't want to change anybody's business. I just want to go back and talk to them about the basics. Sometimes we get so caught up in business that we forget why we went into business. We forget to go back and just look at some of the simple things because we're so caught up in the big things up here. So I'm changing things in my life. I like change to a point. I don't want to rock it hard, but I want to rock it a little. People do resist change. I know people that want to come into work and do the same thing day after day. You have to figure out if that's their comfort zone. Is there a way to keep them comfortable and yet introduce some of the changes that need to take place? And to me, one of the very best ways to do that is to say, okay, we're going to change, maybe it's the software. And we need to say, all right, now you tell me what needs to be on this software to help you, or what needs to take place within this organization to help you. and we make it our change, not my change. I know some of the banking industries sometimes will change their software, and they'll walk in and say, all right, next week, whole new software program coming in, deal with it. And as we know, a lot of the older people don't deal as well with that. My mother was one of those people when she worked in the bank. She was scared of it. And I'm not real techie, and so I'm scared of it as well to some degree, which is, thank goodness I have an IT department here. And they're phenomenal. So some of it is fear. If we change, and I can't do what I'm used to doing on a regular basis, how am I going to look? Am I going to make mistakes? Oh my God, if I make a mistake, am I going to look dumb? Oh, I don't want to ask that question, because I might look really stupid to somebody. It's kind of like when I ask questions in class and say, okay, anybody got a question before we close out the class? Nobody says a word. Number one, everybody wants to get out of class and go do whatever. But then when it comes test time, somebody will go, God, I didn't understand that. You had the opportunity to ask me in class, or my door is open. You can come and ask me privately if you want to, but we have to have a good understanding. We have to be willing to change with the times. There was a business in here years ago that he would only take cash or checks, refused to take any credit cards. Refused. Well, went out of business because he wouldn't take the credit cards. You have to change with the times, whether it be technology or whatever it is. We have to be willing to change. And we are going to run into those people who are going to resist change. I think the younger people are more open to change because change is constantly happening in their lives, and even dealing with some of the issues with diversity. I know as I watch my grandsons, they have students in their class with several learning disabilities and some physical challenges. They don't think twice about it. For them, it's just acceptable. When I was growing up, there was none of that incorporated into the classroom, which I think was a huge issue. And when the change started, where we started having more diversity, allowing more students with learning disabilities and whatever handicaps into the classrooms, parents just went ballistic because of the change, and they weren't open to it. And I think now, like I said, I think the younger people are more open to those changes that are taking place. Dakota Wesleyan is changing. I mean, look, we have a beautiful new athletic facility. We are adding on to the museum, and we're going to have a new theater over there. They're trying to build a new business building eventually. But some of that change means the old Science Hall is going to come down. Prather Hall is going to come down. And you have people that are really bucking that system and arguing because you're going to change the look of the campus. You're going to take away some of the history. Some changes are not popular. We have to be open to change. And again, like I said, though, we have to bring it in a manner that's comfortable. When we first did the Strengths Finder, and I don't know if all of you have had that opportunity, but when that was brought to campus, Dr. Duffett, who was our president at that time, told us that on such and such a Saturday, you will be at school, you will be in Science Hall in the lecture biology auditorium, and you are going to learn about the Strengths Finder, and you're going to like it. And no, you're not getting any extra stipend for being here. You will be here all day. We have faculty on this campus at this point that still, and this was many years ago, hate Strengths Finders. Don't believe in it, won't acknowledge it, don't want to hear about it. We did have it on our business cards for a period of time. They revolted and said, don't put that on my business card. I don't want anybody to know what my strengths are. I don't buy into your stuff. Now, I think had Dr. Duffett said, hey, we have this opportunity to take this inventory called the Strengths Finder. For those that would be willing to learn about it, what do you say we come in on a Saturday, we talk about it and whatnot? If we'd have done it as a group instead of a demand, I think it would have been different. Again, he had a different management style. He was very autocratic in some of that. Some changes has to be made that way. Other changes, again, I think in business, if we can incorporate them in a manner where it's the team's change, it's our change, you're going to have more buy-in. But if it's critical for the business and you think that it has to be the autocratic, demanding change, think about how your people are going to accept it and how many of them are going to revolt and say, I'm not making that change, who are going to cheat you on the job, who are going to maybe get up and walk away from the job. Those are situations that can definitely happen when it comes to change. Change is good. Change is not bad. Change is scary. We're not comfortable. You know, I don't know who's going to walk through that door. Well, hopefully nobody today, since I'm the only one in the building, I think, which is kind of creepy sometimes. But I like the unknown. Other people want to walk in, sit down at their desk, know exactly what they're going to do, get up, take their break, come back to their desk, go to lunch. They have it all figured out. That's their comfort zone. So you have to play to their strengths and find the way to help them through any changes that are coming around. Thanks, everybody, and I'll be back with another one in a little bit.